Welcome to the woods. Blue skies. Cold. A crisp winter's day. In the woods. It's a beautiful time of year. And only a few days to go until Christmas. So I've kind of finished with work. And I wanted to have a chat. And in my last video I said that was the last one I was going to do concerning what's been going on for the last 20 months. So I'm not going to talk about that. Mostly. It might tie in towards the end. We'll see. But I was having a discussion with a young man who works with me. He's a nice bloke, but he's quite a bit younger. He's 21 to maybe 22 years younger than me. And I find it interesting to hear about how he perceives things and what are the differences between his life now and my life when I was his age, or when I was slightly younger and he was slightly younger. And he was telling me how he's kind of come to the conclusion that he will never own his own home. That the car he drives is probably always going to be 10, 12 years old. He's never going to be in a position to buy a new car, or that car that's 5 years old. The one he gets will always been through a few people. That new car smell would have well worn off. And he's going to have to rent his accommodation because he's not in a position to save any money for a deposit. And we talked about that, and he explained that he makes enough money to live life and to live a relatively good life. So he can run a car and he can pay his rent and he eats well and he has enough money to go out. But that's it. And then he has to earn that money again in order to do the same things. And we spoke about the differences between my generation and his, and he was saying that he's kind of in the middle because he knows people younger than him. And he says people my age group kind of had a route to follow. So we went to school, we got a job, we got a girlfriend, we settled down, we bought a house, we had a family. And he was saying that that's what his parents had done. But that he wasn't in that position. That a lot of those things were either pushed back by he had to stay in education longer, another 2 years, another 3 years. That actually nowadays the relationships between men and women weren't the same. And he said he was in the middle because the younger people he knows are even more despondent. They too realise they'll never own a home, that they'll never own a new car. And this isn't every one of them, but the majority. And that why would you want to start a family when it might break up? When you look around you and that's all you see that has happened, that couples simply break up and the kids are left in single parent homes. And I can understand why they'd think that way, because that is what has happened. And maybe a lot of these younger people have come from homes like that where their parents split up and they wouldn't want that to happen to their kids. So they stay forever teenagers, dating, but never anything more serious, because of the fear of things going wrong, and never really pushing themselves because, hey, what's the point? I'm never going to get to that point. I'm never going to be able to buy that house. So let's just live for today. And I spoke to him about setting goals and having a destination. And I asked him a question I've asked lots of people over the years, which is, when was the last time you sat down and spent 2 hours on your own, thinking about what it actually is you want out of life, and where you would like to be in, say, 5 years? And he looked at me and he said, I've never done that. Which is what I expected him to say. So I pointed out that if him and his mates decided that they were going to go away for a long weekend, and they decide they're going to go down to the coast, what would be the first thing they'd discuss? And he said, we'll probably discuss whereabouts on the coast we're going to go. And I was like, okay. And then, are we going to stay in a caravan or a hotel or a B&B? And how much that's going to cost, and which one could we afford, and what was there to do in any particular location? And as we discussed it, it was going to take them probably 4 or 5 days to plan this 2-day excursion. And I said, isn't it funny that you and your mates would spend 4 or 5 days planning 2 days away, yet you haven't ever spent 2 hours planning the rest of your life? And I asked him the question, what do you think's more important, a weekend away or the rest of your life? And he had to agree that it probably wasn't the weekend away. And I've done a video touching on this before, but it's really important. It's really important that you have a destination, because without that destination, you're not going to be able to get there. I made a video not too long back about where I had had too much to drink and I got lost at night in these woods. And it took me a long time to find my way through these woods, 4 hours, until I got home. But the only reason I could get home was that I had a destination to head for. There was a major issue that got in the way, which was it was pitch black, and that hampered what direction I went in. But at least I had a destination. And there's an old analogy which goes like this. If you were to walk up to a ticket office in a train station and you speak to the guy behind the glass, behind the counter, and you say, I'd like a ticket please, what do you think the first thing he'd ask you? Obvious, he's going to ask you where you want to go. And then with that information he could find you the quickest route and the cheapest fare and the shortest time. But if you looked at him and said, I don't know where I want to go, he's not going to be able to help you. And to be honest, you're not going to be able to help yourself. So that important piece of information of where you want to go, where you want to be, is exactly the same in your life. And without it, and I'll be honest with you, most people have never done that exercise. Most people haven't got a clue where they really want to be, because they've never even spent 2 hours thinking about that. You end up like a rudderless boat, a boat that can't be steered, just drifting. And what happens in that situation is that you know you want to be somewhere, but you have no idea where. So you just drift along until a big ship comes by and they say to you, hey, come with us. You'll be happy going where we take you. And seeing as you can't go anywhere because you're rudderless, they throw you down a line and you tie it on and they pull you to where they want you to go. And they've told you you'll be happy, so hey, why not go? It's better than having no direction, surely. And they pull you to their destination, and then they take the boat off of you and they sail away. And what happens now? What happens if you don't like where you are? How do you leave? Where else would you like to go? And I think I see lots and lots of people in rudderless boats. No idea where they really want to be or what they really want. And it becomes very easy for a manipulative organisation to throw them down a line and take them in a direction that is going to be no good for them. So if you can take 2 hours and have a think, what is it you want? Where do you want to be? You'll stand a much better chance of being able to say no when someone offers you a line. You don't need that line. You know where you're going. And when you know where you're going, you can plan your route there. So you don't need their help. You know where you're going and you know how you're going to get there. And that will always be a small percentage of people. And I think as we look around today, we can see a small percentage of people that are saying no. That's not for me. So hey you lot, Christmas soon. I'll speak to you probably before then, and I've got a live stream coming up with Bjorn Bull Hansen just after Christmas. So I hope you will all watch that. I'm looking forward to that as a discussion, and I hope you're all watching Millennial. I was on there the other night. A fantastic chat. I just rambled. We never talked about The Thing again, which was quite interesting because I've spoke about very little else for 2 years. So cheers everyone. I'll speak to you soon.